Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we're going to talk about the double kettlebell or double club outside swings. I advocate for single arm training as much as possible because it builds in a resistance to rotation. Resisting rotation or resisting extension is one of the prime things that the core does in order to train your body to produce power in athletic situations. So it's very easy to use single arm training to up people's athleticism pretty quickly. If we double the kettlebells or we double the clubs, we double the weight on the lower body. We take away some of the rotation aspect of it. We still are going to get core firing, but we won't get as much. But we will get twice as much load on the legs and the hamstring and the posterior chain. It's always a trade-off. Our double swing is a fast, hard exercise. The numbers are high because each rep takes a small amount of time. We have two clubs set up. We're going to point our feet straight ahead. We're going to have our feet closer than they would be with kettlebells. They will be shoulder width or closer. You will see some people do this a little bit wider, but you can't really get into a wide sumo stance with this one. It just doesn't work. So let's point both feet straight ahead. Make sure your toes are equal. We are going to judo chop our hips at the bottom, loading up our hamstrings, keeping our heels on the ground at the bottom and at the top of the movement. We are back in our heels so that we can contract our hamstrings and our glutes effectively. At the bottom, thumbs point down, thumbs point up. You can skip the thumbs down situation if you want and just go there. It just doesn't look cool. Fire both lats as hard as you can. Swing back. With clubs, you will use lighter weights because they pull through your grip instead of against your grip. So there's a trade-off. With clubs, you get much more difficult grip training, but it's easier on the rest of the body. With kettlebells, the kettlebells, two 16K kettlebells is 32K, which is 70 pounds. That's light for kettlebells, and that is heavy for clubs. But the difference is how it pulls against the grip. So it's gonna be a trade-off. If you wanna do more grip training one day, then it's the clubs. If you wanna do more lower body and heart training, then it's going to be clubs. I recommend you do both in equal amounts so that you end up with more athletic skill over time. Because our kettlebells are just larger in diameter, you might find yourself having to move your feet in a little bit more than normal. But this might put you in one of those really close deadlift-like positions because you have the close deadlift and you have the wide deadlift. So think of this as more of a close deadlift position. There's gonna be no thumb turn on this one. We're gonna have our thumbs pointed up and they're gonna stay that way the entire time. Both lats on both sides of your body are gonna stay on the entire time. We do not need to swing above parallel. We could, but for this exercise, we're just gonna stop at parallel or slightly below, depending on when your rib cage starts to drift. If your rib cage drifts up, have your hands be lower so you can keep your abdominal wall on and contracted the entire time. So in fitness, there's always this argument of like, why would you do something? And the answer is, if you can point to an athletic situation that mimics or that looks the same, has the same body position, the answer is, why wouldn't you do it? If you're training for, say, equestrian, then this looks a lot like a posting position. If you're training for dirt bikes, this looks a lot like that closed position where you squeeze the gas tank, where you're going over moguls. This position is in a lot of stuff. It's good to train it, and to train it for long periods of time. There is a difference between, let's say, barbells, for the most part, and kettlebells. One tends to be strength, and one tends to be strength endurance. Kettlebellers and clubbers have less absolute strength than barbellers. Totally true, but we endure in different types of strength load for longer periods of time much more easily. There's always a trade-off in different types of training. So here's another idea that you can plug in. Plug this into your double kettlebell swing protocol and have half of your sets be outside swings instead. The more angles you train, the less likely you are to find an angle in the real world that's gonna mess you up. So with both kettlebells and clubs, we chop the hips, we load the heels, we stay in the heels. Even at the top when we extend our hips, we straighten our legs, pull our kneecaps up, push your rib cage down so you can breathe behind the shield. Don't let your arms track up so high that your rib cage starts to flare and you lose your core contraction. Keep it all down and fire the lat throughout the entire range of movement. You should be able to hold on to it, reach in and literally grab it, and it should be on the entire time. This has been Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica.